Hey guys, Short Midget here. I'm going to be making another video on a gearbox. So this is my brother's gearbox. I've been working on it for a while now. He's going to get home today, and I just got the FET in today. So I'm installing it, and I'm tuning the gearbox, and I already got it together, and I took it apart again because I had an issue. But I've pretty much fixed the issue. So I'm going to go over the gearbox in its entirety and also go over the issue that I had. And it's kind of a weird issue. So first of all, let's go over motor. This thing's still warm. This is a JBU. First of all, it has a JG red can, and it's got JBU internals. It's got a JBU 18 TPA arm, JBU neo magnets, which are very strong. Echo one or no Sima pinion, which meshes pretty well with the SHS bevel, and then it's got brush springs and brushes that should be replaced. They are pretty worn out, so I have a friend that is giving me his spares. So once I get spares from him, and also I have a friend that's making an order from Evike, and I'm going to check out to see if they have brushes on Evike. But basically, brushes and brush springs are pretty important for your motor. And in my SSG M4, I've gone through a lot of them. And it's just because of motor heat and shooting fast and stuff. When you're on the field, you don't tend to shoot as fast, at least in my experience. Well, like when I take the gun in the backyard and dump a whole mag, or dump 2 mags or 3 mags for a video, or just playing around, I really don't do that on the field most of the time. You don't go through like 200, 300 rounds like that quick, normally, unless you're using full auto the whole time. Because I cannot dump a mag on semi-auto very fast. I mean, think about it. 100 round mag, I've got to pull the trigger 100 times. Now, my trigger response is really good, but you still got to pull the trigger 100 times. So, normally on the field, you don't get as much heat. So, hopefully, we don't have any issues with this arm burning out, but brushes and brush springs can be replaced quick and easy. And really, when brush springs become weak, it only affects the rate of fire in my experience. When brushes start to deform and become nothing, that's when you have issues with sometimes it won't fire, sometimes it will, sometimes it's super weak, and that's just because your brushes are basically nothing anymore. So that's that. Got to get some more brush springs. And well, I have brush springs. Like this spring is in okay condition, so I could replace that. So not too big of a deal. And you can bend these too. I've only had a few brush springs actually break, and it's because metal was touching them, and it basically, I guess, shorted it out, just kind of melted it. So that's that one right there. I'm going to rewrap this. There we go. So, yep, that's the motor. It's pretty good. 18 TPA, neo magnet. Pretty efficient on power. Warms up, though. Gearbox shell is ICS, brand new, 6mm with, I think these are Echo 1 6mm steel bushings. Pretty good reinforcement there. No window in the back. Wish I would have been able to see my issue if the window was in the back. Thanks, ICS. I had to take it apart to figure it out. We have a ZCI M1 15 spring. This spring guide is crap, but it works best with the buffer tube that I have. It screws in and actually stays and tightens. Where I tried two other spring guides, and the buffer spring or buffer tube screw. Sorry, I can't talk. Wasn't tightening. Like, it literally wasn't tightening the buffer tube. Don't know why, so I just stuck with this one. Okay, then we have a Echo 1 cylinder with a port there. SHS O-ring nozzle with SRC MP5 tappet. This tappet feeds at 25 RPS with 0.2s and 0.25s with GMP high RPS magazines with no sector chip. So, pretty solid there. I put some Teflon in here. And then we have a Super Shooter piston. And this was the issue. My piston was the issue. So this is the deep fire piston. Basically, when this piston was coming back, it was slamming against the back of the gearbox shell here. And look, it cracked it I cannot believe this. It literally, you guys probably aren't going to be able to see this. I won't be able to pull it apart, but the crack is actually going down the rail. Maybe I should just break it off. See that? No, you can't. There's pieces of plastic, green plastic, because it was hitting the back of that. I thought it was premature engagement, but M115 spring full stroke shouldn't do that. So let me go ahead and, I'm trying to let you guys see this. See, the plastic is literally falling apart. So I took the rack from this, and I put it in a super shooter piston, which I had never used, and it looks in good condition. So it's got the titanium rack and a super shooter piston body. This should last. It should be good. And a JG piston head, which gets amazing compression. Much better compression than I had earlier with the Cyma head on that deep fire piston. So maybe it's good that I had to take it apart, because now the compression's much better. I short stroked by one teeth to negate the issue with it slamming against the back of the gearbox, because I'm not dumb. I'm not going to try it again, because the pistons are the same length. So basically the gearbox shell is just jank. It's too thick in the back, I guess. Or it's not long enough. It's weird. Maybe just tolerances. But that's just, it's going to keep hitting the back of that and break. So basically what I did is I short stroked. So basically the piston is releasing sooner, so it's not coming back as far. And it shouldn't have enough, the piston doesn't have enough momentum to move back, because the spring is pushing against it. So it's not like it's going to move back and hit the shell, because I took a tooth off of thickness, and that should be good enough. If it's not, I'll take it apart again, but it should be fine. And it may also be part of that piston. The deep fire piston may just be weird or something. I don't know. I'm not going to Swiss cheese this. I'm just going to leave it as is. Hope this thing holds up. Compression is dank. It is freaking amazing. The piston seems to move nicely in the... and maybe a little angled. It looks like it's a little angled. I think this rack on the front of it is a little too big. I'm going to go ahead and take this rack out and file the front of it off. This is a ball bearing piston head as well, which is fantastic, because there's no ball bearings on the guide. I'll show you this. See how the rack is sticking out? So I'm going to shave that off, just so I don't have any issues there. Okay, so I'll shave that off, but super shooter piston with titanium rack, JG piston head with great compression, ZCI M115 spring, short stroke by one tooth, an Angel Custom speed trigger, adjustable trigger rather, straight adjustable trigger. We got matrix trigger contacts with a Sigma MOSFET, which is a pretty good MOSFET, for the money at least. They're super cheap, but you have to do all the wiring work, so if you don't know how to do that, you're going to have to pay a tech extra money to do that, but it is a very affordable FET. I've had a lot of heating issues with, I don't know if it's the FET or not. I got this FET for my brother. It's really cheap. I have one of my M4, and it seems like the motor and everything heats up a lot, but I've heard of there's a lot of heating issues with low ratio gears, in my experience. Because actually, some people don't know, pairing a high torque motor with a gear set, low ratio gear set like 12 to 1, even 10 to 1, is going to give you really good trigger response and good rate of fire too, depends. Like an 18 TPA, if you had 10 to 1s, it would rip at probably 35, 40 rounds a second. Depends on what spring you have and if you're short stroking or not. But if you put an M120 full stroke, you'd probably get like 35, 40 rounds a second with 10 to 1 with 18 TPA. You're probably going to get a lot of motor heat. The higher the TPA, the less the motor heat, the less the draw, the less the amp draw. So in my opinion, I think 24, 22 TPA, even 28 and 32 TPA is good for like 12 to 1s, 13 to 1s. I'm running a 32, at least I was told it was a 32 TPA arm when I bought it. It was unused, and I put that in my SSG M4, and it's getting about 22 rounds a second with an 11-1, and good trigger response, really good trigger response. So, and it's pre-cocking a little bit, which is nice. So yeah, I think that's a great setup. This one has a lower TPA arm, same ratio really, 13-1, 12-1, about the same. This has a weaker spring, so this is for CQB, but trailing off. That's it. You know, ICS shell, Echo 1 6mm bushings, ZCI M115 spring, short stroke by 1 tooth. SHS 12-1 gear set. Forgot to say that. SHS 12-1, short stroke 1 tooth without a sector chip. Amazing condition on these, shimmed pretty well. The bevel is still holding up. Using the SHS bevel in this. Using the SHS bevel in this as well. And in my M4. But this M4 here had to have the SHS bevel replaced to a VFC. Because the SHS is strict. So that's pretty much it. If you want to see a video on the internals of this, let me know. This is a friend's gun. He's missing a motor now, but I can open up the gearbox and make a video. Just give me a comment and say you want to see a video on this, and I will go ahead and do a video on the internals of this. It's fairly similar to this. Just slower rate of fire, about the same. This one's about, with this spring, it's about 25 to 27 rounds a second with the spring in its current setup. I may go up to a heavier spring. Don't know the FPS yet, but compression's good. M115 spring, short stroke by 1 tooth, should be between 350 and 370. I'm going to leave a wide gap there, just because it could be anywhere between there. So if you have any questions, comment below. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I'm going to go modify this piston and then put it back together, and got to get the thing ready for my brother to come home tonight. Hope he really enjoys it. He's using a GMP Colt lower that I got him, and also this pretty cool but pain PTS pistol grip. This thing has hardly any room in here, so, and the grip, it's hard to wire it, so... But that's what he wanted. He got it for fairly cheap. Also, I will have a video review on a KWA Mark II 1911 coming up over this weekend. I should have it because I'm waiting for some parts on it. So I'll have a review and shooting test of that, so stay tuned for that. And I'll probably try to make some videos with my brother on my channel. Not sure what we'll do, but maybe just a discussion. We'll see. So, see you guys later.